Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back. Let's turn to one of President Trump's latest policy ideas on taxes. And my segue here is going to be something that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said on Tuesday night in Philadelphia. He said that if Donald Trump is reelected, he will gut Social Security. And Alicia, I find that strange for a couple of reasons. One, President Trump has been clear going back to the 2016 election that he has no intention of touching entitlement programs. But also, he seems to be going the opposite direction. Here is a statement that he made recently on Truth Social. Seniors should not pay tax on Social Security. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alicia, but isn't that equivalent to an increase in benefits being paid out to seniors?
Right. This is a de facto increase in benefits or a marginal reduction in the tax rate. Currently, seniors have to pay taxes at the wage or whatever regular income rate on 85% of their Social Security payments or benefits. Now, Donald Trump is proposing to de facto eliminate all of that, which is expected to cost somewhere between $1.6 trillion and $1.8 trillion over the next decade. Now, he hasn't actually proposed how to pay for that. And note that Democrats have also actually jumped onto that idea. The Democrats in Congress have proposed doing so, to eliminating the taxes on Social Security benefits and paying for it by raising the payroll tax on income, or the threshold on those earning more than $250,000, which would be a giant tax increase. So the question is, and actually my worry is, if you get Donald Trump as president, you're probably going to have less room to extend some of the tax increases if he actually follows through on this proposal because of the enormous cost of exempting Social Security. Or what you'll probably have also is Democrats pushing for more tax increases to pay for it, or just doing some kind of a Social Security tax exemption for lower and middle income earners, maybe increasing the threshold to, say, 60 or 70,000, which would also be expensive, but it would also distort the tax code further and create more of a disincentive at the margins to continue working for seniors who are, maybe considering retiring. And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But going back to what I was mentioning earlier, it's increasing, seems like they are bidding for the senior votes, the Democrats and the Republicans, and they're bidding for other votes by promising new entitlements or expansions. And I don't think that this is going to end well for taxpayers.
And sorry to be a Cassandra on this issue, but I keep going back to the latest Social Security trustees report, and this is the key line. The Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund will be able to pay 100% of total scheduled benefits until 2033. At that time, the fund's reserves will become depleted, and continuing program income will be sufficient to pay 79% of scheduled benefits. And what that means is that we are less than a decade out from a mandatory 21% cut in Social Security benefits that are being paid out to seniors. And it seems to me that both of these parties are derelict in not addressing that problem, in not providing solutions to that problem, and I guess in Donald Trump's case, making that problem worse by making those benefits tax-free, which would cost a lot of money in a Washington that doesn't need any more help spending money and racking up the federal debt.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough that both parties have decided that they simply won't talk about Social Security and will argue that they can go on doing nothing about it. I make no apologies for being a Cassandra because that reckoning is coming. And what Trump is doing here is proposing something that would make that date come sooner. And it would put the trust fund on even more shaky footing than it already is. I think that's indefensible. There are bipartisan bills, to Alicia's point, that support it, but it's so eye-wateringly expensive, and it's such a carve-out for largely upper-income seniors who are already getting more out of Social Security and benefits than they paid in, that I would hope it remains unlikely. But I worry about it more as a signal of the GOP's larger intellectual direction, because This and no taxes on tips are kind of the two big tax ideas that Trump is talking a lot about. He has said he supports a lower corporate tax rate, perhaps at about 18% or 15%, but he talks a lot more about these carve-outs that are vote-buying exercises and that are anti-growth. They're anti-rising incomes. They won't produce the kinds of things that made the economy good while Trump was president, which was largely the corporate tax cut. So it's really a terrible policy idea, but I worry more about where the tax debate will go when Trump gets back into office, because if these kinds of proposals are on the table that just give benefits to one constituency or another, then all of them will be. You'll have another bidding war over the child tax credit, over the mortgage interest reduction, and you won't get the kind of reforms that made Trump's first tax cut just such a success.
Thank you, Kate and Alicia. Thank you all for listening. You can email us at pwpodcast@wsj.com. If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Potomac Watch.